Well, happy whatever day this is that you're joining us. This is Richard Rosen, Winnipeg's friendliest undertaker, and my recording engineer, George, who's joining us here today. And the purpose of all of our interviews has been to share knowledge on a wide variety of topics. So if you've been watching our interviews over the last number of years, you'll know that we've been covering a wide variety of various funeral topics, including green burials, the importance of managing and protecting your digital assets. And recently we've launched this new segment on successfully aging in place. Now that I'm into my 50s, later 50s, the topic of aging in place has really become a new part of my life. And I really need to be aware of and to learn how to successfully live and safely live so I can continue to enjoy the best quality of life that I possibly can. Helping with that success really became part of my journey. And what I did was became an early member of businesses and organizations supporting seniors, people working in the aging in place community, helping to create and maintain the best quality of life possible for older adults. So if you're looking for a good audiologist, a financial planner, additional home care, a pharmacist, or a lawyer, to name a few, you can go to my website where you'll find a page dedicated exclusively to BOSS, and it has a list of the members that are there and links to all of them. And you can also take a look at the BOSS Facebook page. Speaking of lawyers, we welcome today Andrew Torbiak with Tradition Law LLP Estates and Trusts here in Winnipeg. While his practice is estate law, he focuses on estate planning and provides consultation to clients related to committeeship and attorneyship issues, as well as estate beneficiaries. Andrew was called to the Manitoba Bar in 2016 and now gives back to law education as a sessional instructor, coaching third-year law students at the Canadian National Negotiation Competition. Andrew contributes to the Winnipeg community by sitting on the St. James Assiniboia 55 Plus Center Board. And he's volunteered since 2016 as a presenter through Senior Care Without Walls, a senior engagement resource offered by A&O Support Services for Older Adults. And additionally, and finally, Andrew, like us, are a proud member of businesses and organizations supporting seniors. Andrew, thank you for joining us today, and looking forward to a good conversation about things that we need to know about our estates and those plans.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Richard.
So Andrew, a question that I've got, and I guess maybe I'll just preface a little bit that I think most people would agree and do understand that there's really two primary purposes for writing a will. One of them is to really name the executor, and the other is to give instructions. And all of this is a roadmap for how the estate will divide the assets, the physical assets, dishes, golf clubs, etc., and also the wealth amongst the various beneficiaries. Those are the key pieces. And I know there's other pieces. There's wishes for what's to happen as far as a funeral and all of that part. And also digital assets, which I know that we've had conversations in the past about, to make sure that we understand that that is also part of an estate. I'm a pet owner, and like many of us, we need to consider in our estate plans the wishes that we want to have happen should we die before our pet, and to make sure that they're taken care of. Can you give us any insights into what your experiences are and things that you can help us with?
There's a number of things that you could do with your will, or other ways to arrange things in terms of handling your pet after you're no longer able to, whether that's because you passed away or are simply unable. And it's something that often goes overlooked, really, because frankly, I mean, handling somebody else's pet, wow, what an honor you're bestowing on that original pet owner to say, I will look after your dog. I will give them a good home. I will care for them. I will keep them healthy. And we shouldn't overlook that. And perhaps, as you know, vet bills and food bills can add up as well. So there's a number of ways you can tackle that. One is just a straight gift. So you say, on the understanding that Andrew will be caring for George if I pass away. If Andrew does accept the care of George, I give to Andrew the amount of, whatever that might, $10,000. And the purpose of this gift is to help defray some of the costs associated with taking over the care of my pet. Food costs, vet bills, toys, enjoyment of life, whatever. Just a straight gift. And so you're making that gift, you understand that, if George didn't last much longer than you, well, I'm still thankful to Andrew for even just having been prepared to give George that good life that I wanted him to have. So he keeps the gift, and I'm fine with that. I'm comfortable knowing that George is provided for and he's not a burden on others. Another possible solution that you can use your will for would be to establish a pet trust. So it's different than a gift. You establish a trust, satisfy a particular need, or to ensure that there is money on hand for a specific purpose. So it would look very similar to a gift, except you would say, Andrew is taking over the care of my dog, and I'm setting aside from my estate $30,000 to go into the George Rosen Pet Trust. And the purpose of this trust is so that money can come out when or if necessary for the care of my dog. Vet bills, food, toys, enjoyment of life, you name it. And then the nice thing is, with a trust, you can attach additional rules to it, like what should happen to the money if there's any money left over when George passes away. You can sort of write the whole story of the money. So you could say, if when George passes away, there's an amount greater than or equal to $10,000 left in trust. And sorry, George, I don't mean to be picking on you here, but the leftover amount will be divided evenly between Andrew, who cared for George, and my favorite pet rescue shelter. So that way you sort of cap off the funds. They're either used in totality during George's lifetime, or you know that they are going toward a cause that is sort of reminiscent of pet care, say fostering other animals, or to your favorite animal shelter. Now, a trust is tricky because let's say you establish a trust with me and I look after George, and I'm also George's trustee. As the name suggests, you're putting quite a bit of trust in me to look after that money. And George very well can't be my oversight on the money. So who's to say I don't use that money for whatever I wish? Well, you can involve other people in a trust. So you could say, Andrew is trustee, but he has to account to my executor once a year to show what expenses have been coming out of the trust, to make sure that Andrew isn't running some kind of pet trust scheme, and he's got everybody's pet there, and he's making a killing on everybody's pet trusts. And that person would be called a protector. They'd be somebody who checks in to make sure that the money is being used appropriately. Now, hopefully, you would not be entrusting the care of your beloved pet to somebody that you didn't also trust with handling their money. But that said, as a lawyer, again, you sometimes take a dim view of folks' intentions. So those are two different ways that you can look out for your pet after you're gone through your will. One is an outright gift to a potential caregiver, and you can make that gift contingent or conditional on the fact that that person does actually care for your pet and takes them in. And then the second would be a trust. And you can put somebody in charge of that trust, and then you can attach an alternate if you want. And now the other question that can arise is, well, what if you're not able to care for your pet while you're still alive? Now the will is completely out of the picture, because a will doesn't have any effect legally until you've passed away. And so you could make similar arrangements through a power of attorney document. Same deal. You can say, I specifically authorize the person acting as my power of attorney to access my funds for the purpose of George's care. You would need to specify that in the power of attorney, because the person acting for you has their hands tied otherwise. They must act for your benefit. And one could argue George's benefit isn't necessarily your benefit. So you would want that made very, very clear, so that no questions could be asked of somebody who might be taking money out to pay for George's expensive vet bills, knock on wood, of course. So those would be three very good strategies that you could employ, again, to help provide the roadmap for somebody who might be acting for you in the future, before or after you've passed away.
And I guess it would stand to reason logically that the trustee should not be the executor as well, because then you don't really have a good means of oversight.
True enough. Now, there are some folks who say, not in 1,000 years would I ever question my executor's honesty, integrity, trustworthiness. And I say to those people, okay, fine. That's when we simply rely on your reason for appointing that person. But others might say, it doesn't matter how much I trust them. I still want that oversight to be there. And that way I have a legal guarantee, not just a moral guarantee that there will be no shenanigans. And I can tell you, a really trustworthy person should have no problem with that oversight. They might say, it's a bit of a hassle, but sure, here's the trust bank account, fine. Nothing to hide, therefore nothing hidden.
Yeah, and I guess too that there's a practical side, that an executor really has a job that starts and finishes. A trustee for a pet is about this other existence. It's a longer, but an animal's going to have if it's a 4-year-old dog, it's going to live to 20. The executor's role has been long done. The trustee's job is different. So it could be, maybe that's another consideration of who that trustee is, because of the length of time that they might be responsible too.
Absolutely. I often describe a trustee or an executor, pardon me, as either a contractor or a project manager. They have a set amount of duties, and those duties will end at a certain point. Whereas, completely correct, a trustee, they could be around for as long as it takes for your pet to pass away, or for your children to turn the age that you wanted them to turn before they inherited. It's a much more long-running engagement, and that might change. That might factor into your decision of who you put in those positions.
Yeah, that's true. And I guess too that if something happened to the trustee, then what? Then there's other pieces and there are pet rescues. There's a lot of no-kill pet rescues out there that your furry companion can be surrendered to under those circumstances. And I've seen those experiences before where there hadn't been anything planned.
That's right, because sometimes there simply isn't somebody that makes sense to take over the care of your pet. So I can tell you, I know this program exists in some Ontario cities where they have a pet stewardship program, and you sort of sign on into an agreement with them, and they will take best efforts to foster out your pet, and you can advise them what your standards would be in terms of who they select. You could say, young family, or quiet lifestyle or something like that. And they'll do their best to find that person for you if a more suitable alternative is not immediately available.
Yeah, that's good to know. Well, thank you again, Andrew, for joining us and sharing your wisdom and everything that you brought to us today on the importance of including our pets in our estate planning. And to our audience, we're really grateful for the investment of time that you've given us here today, and hope that you will join us for other interviews. They'll be posted on our website, friendsforever.ca. This is Richard Rosen signing off. Keep safe and smiling. Thanks.